I died. On my 30th birthday. The hospital room was eerily quiet when the door creaked open. Adam walked in. My husband, the impoverished student I'd lifted from nothingness to the pinnacle of scientific acclaim. The prodigy I'd forged with my own hands. Emily. I came to see you one last time. I never loved you. I married you solely to exploit your family's resources and that pitiful shred of talent you call genius. My heart has always belonged to Sophie. Sophia. His first love. Nestled against his chest and whispered timidly. Emmy. Please don't blame Adam. We're truly in love. Then Adam delivered the words that would haunt my final moments. You should know, that lab accident in our previous life? It was your fault. If you hadn't stubbornly interfered, my project would have succeeded years earlier. The Nobel Prize was within reach. You destroyed me. Emily. You've always been the biggest obstacle and stain on my existence. Obstacle. Stain. I'd poured my soul into him. Paved his path with my bare hands. Wrecked my health for his ambitions. And these two words were my epitaph. Darkness swallowed my world whole. Emily. Emily. Wake up. Who? My eyes flew open to the familiar popcorn ceiling of my university lecture hall. Dozens of youthful faces surrounded me. The air smelled of textbooks and adolescent sweat. I wasn't dead. I stared at my hands, smooth. Unblemished. 20 years younger. Not a dream. I'd been reborn. We were back at the fateful project evaluation meeting that had determined all our destinies a decade ago. My pulse roared as I instinctively turned toward the presentation podium. Adam stood there. Our gazes collided. In that heartbeat, I saw mirrored in his eyes the same disorientation of rebirth, followed by a lightning flash of triumph and glacial calculation. He remembered too. This realization drenched me like ice water. As he took the stage, his polished PowerPoint slides bloomed with complex data models, my life's work. The equations I'd bled over for 3 sleepless months. The conclusions I'd wrestled from half a forest's worth of scratch paper. He'd stolen my research. On the very first day of our second chance, he'd seized the legacy of 2 lifetimes without hesitation. The auditorium erupted in applause as he finished speaking. The seasoned professors on the judging panel nodded in approval. Genius. An absolute genius. Adam stood on stage, basking in the glory that should have been mine. His gaze swept over me with the indifference reserved for strangers. Clearing his throat, he spoke into the microphone words that diverged sharply from our previous life script. Honored professors, for the team's sustainable development, I formally request Emily's removal from core membership. Gasps rippled through the auditorium. Furthermore, I propose Sophia, whose exceptional data analysis and collaborative skills have been instrumental, to assume this position. His lips-shaped silent syllables meant for me alone, don't blame me. The unspoken accusation hung between us like poisoned smoke. You ruined everything for Sophia and me last time. Every eye in the room pierced me, pitying. Scornful. Gleeful. I didn't cry. Didn't make a scene. Those who've tasted death don't waste tears on petty humiliations. My calm gaze tracked Adam's pathetic solo performance. Watched Sophia rise with feigned modesty to accept accolades. The farce resembled some tacky silent film. Post-forum. I cornered him in the corridor. Why? He adjusted his collar like I was some deranged stranger. You owe me this. Emily. Last timeline. You cost me my shot at greatness. Now I'm reclaiming what's mine. Sophia and I will reach the summit together. His warning glare sharpened. Stay out of our way. Sophia materialized, clinging to his arm like ivy. Don't be mad at Adam. Emmy. He's just driven. Her saccharine tone dripped counterfeit concern. I'll work twice as hard to make up for your absence. Do reach out if you need anything. I studied her mask of innocence, remembering how those same hands had swapped my stabilizing agents during critical experiments last life. Her sabotage caused the explosion that wrecked my health, Adam's perfect excuse to blame me for ruining his future. The true architect of our tragedy smiled serenely. They seized everything, my lab, research, equipment. Campus forums exploded. CS Major Emily got dumped by Adam. Serves her right. Jealous hacks shouldn't bully talents like Sophia. Adam and Soph are power couples. Who's Emily anyway? The childish chatter couldn't touch me. When you've died once, petty rumors become background noise. My goal was crystal clear. Turning away from the dormitory, I headed straight toward the most desolate area of campus, the nearly abandoned North District Faculty Building. There lived an eccentric, a madman ostracized and ridiculed by the entire academic community. Professor Benjamin Taylor. In my previous life, everyone dismissed his theories as delusional garbage. But reborn with foresight, I knew the truth. A decade later, an overseas research team would validate his work, shaking the scientific world and ushering in a new technological era. That team would claim the Nobel Prize. Professor Taylor held the future in his hands, and the key to my vengeance. The door to his office stood firmly shut, bearing 8 brushstrokes of defiant calligraphy. Scholarship lies dead. Trespassers unwelcome. Charming. I liked his style. Knuckles rapping against weathered wood echoed through the hallway. 3 sharp knocks. Get lost, growled a gravelly voice dripping with decades of bitterness. I remained planted outside, clearing my throat. I spoke just loud enough to penetrate the door. Dr. Ben. Your temporal lattice theory, if we ignore reverse entropy, increase possibilities in third-dimensional expansion. The entire model will inevitably collapse under ultra-high-frequency oscillations. Silence swallowed the corridor. Even the faint sound of breathing ceased. 12 heartbeats later, hinges creaked. A weathered face framed by Einsteinian white hair peered through the crack. Those clouded yet piercing hawk-like eyes locked onto mine. Young lady, he rasped, voice trembling with barely contained excitement. How could you possibly know that? This was the fatal flaw he'd buried deepest in his life's work, a vulnerability known only to himself. Instead of answering, I pulled an all-nighter's worth of calculations from my bag. The bound proposal trembled in his hands as he scanned the first page. Milky eyes sharpened, kindling with the dangerous glow of resurrected ambition. What I'd handed him wasn't merely advanced, it rendered Adam's stolen research obsolete by generations. Meeting his galvanized gaze, I enunciated every syllable. Others chase trends. We're here to rewrite the rules of reality. He yanked me into the room and slammed the door. Clutching my proposal like sacred scripture, Ben exclaimed, brilliant. 3 times. Emily, he declared, eyes blazing. This project, we're doing it. Our makeshift lab began in a derelict warehouse behind campus. Dust motes dancing in shafts of light. Our equipment consisted of a wobbling table and 2 3-legged stools, conditions so primitive they'd make a war correspondent flinch. Yet my heart burned with purpose. Meanwhile, Adam secured the university's largest research grant using my outdated data. The $500,000 windfall, a king's ransom in those days, turned him and Sophia into academic royalty. They glided through interviews and galas in chauffeured cars, their golden couple photos dominating the school website. Sophia once strutted into our hovel wearing designer threads and a Cartier timepiece, heels clicking against cracked concrete. Emmy, she sneered through a perfumed handkerchief. Why wallow with this washed-up lunatic? She dangled Adam's latest gift, a diamond watch glinting. Beg Adam nicely. Maybe I'll convince him to let you wash beakers again. I didn't look up from my calculations. Get lost. Her face purpled before she stormed off. Ben and I worked round the clock. Our synergy explosive, his theoretical genius fused with my future-derived methods produced breakthroughs at warp speed. But funding walls crumbled faster than our equipment. We needed $200,000 for spectrometers and clean room construction. That night, chewing stale bread under moonlight, a name surfaced, Alex. The tech mogul had offered me 8-figure packages thrice in my past life. Each time, I'd chosen Adam over empire building. I still hear Alex's parting words, Miss Johnson. Brilliance shouldn't chain itself to lesser men. My door stays open, dusting crumbs from my lab coat. I began drafting the boldest proposal of 2 lifetimes. This time, I won't let him slip away. I combed through the phone book and found his company's number. His secretary answered with saccharine professionalism. Mr. Alex's schedule is fully booked through next month. I didn't back down. Tell him the project he's been envisioning has found its answer. The name's Emily. He understood. The next morning, a Bentley Mulsanne splattered mud across our rundown warehouse's driveway. Italian leather shoes emerged first, followed by Alex in his impeccably tailored suit. His gaze swept across our peeling walls without flinching, finally landing on me with an intensity that mixed calculation, admiration, and the faintest smirk. Miss Emily. His baritone resonated. I've waited a decade for this call. I knew. He remembered our shared past life. No questions about the project, my word was bond. His assistant materialized with a checkbook. Alex's fountain pen danced across the parchment, signing with a flourish before tearing off the slip. 10 million. Seed money. His eyes never wavered. Need more? Just ask. Dr. Taylor and I stared at the astronomical figure. Zeros blurring. The eccentric physicist wiped his glasses, muttering, madman. Glorious. Brilliant madman. Our lab transformed overnight. State-of-the-art equipment flooded in like Black Friday shipments. We relocated to downtown's premier office tower, entire floor. ISO-certified clean rooms. The works. Breakthroughs came daily. News reached Adam. He arrived unannounced with Sophia in tow. Fake nonchalance crumbling at our quantum computing array's holographic interface. His jaw tightened seeing the crystalline lab through floor-to-ceiling windows. Emily. He sneered, scanning my lab coat with contempt. Who knew trash-picking taught such resourcefulness? For money. You actually found some money-grubbing businessmen to back you up. You've fallen. You've tarnished the purity and sanctity of us researchers. Adam stood on his moral high ground, lecturing me with condescension, conveniently forgetting he was the one who stole others' work and climbed the ladder using women. Sophia chimed in dutifully beside him. Exactly. Emily. Academic work should stay pure. Money is just vulgar. She flashed her Cartier bracelet subtly while speaking. That's when Alex arrived for his inspection. Hearing Adam's rant, his lips curled into an icy smirk. Adjusting his cufflinks with practiced elegance, he locked eyes with the stammering researcher. Purity of science. You say? Alex picked up Adam's publicly funded project report, flipping pages like they were takeout menus. Solved the third stage energy overflow in your ion collision model yet? Adam froze. Fixed the periodic data distortions in your high-pressure simulations? Alex continued, voice sharpening. Or maybe cracked how your precious algorithm survives dimensional reduction in quantum annealing, with even 1% success? 3 questions. 3 fatal flaws Adam hadn't even acknowledged. Sophia attempted damage control with a saccharine smile. Mr. Davis. Adam only meant? Do I see a nameplate on your lab coat? Alex didn't glance her way. His tone glacial. He turned to me as the crowd held its breath. MS. Emily and her team. He announced, each word resonating through the hall. Will lead Davis Industries' technological strategy for the next decade. Her research will redefine our world. The color drained from Adam and Sophia's faces. They scurried away under smirking stares. But not before Adam shot me a glare laced with something new, raw. Primal fear. He was right to be afraid. At the National Innovation Summit, the academic event of the decade, Adam's team had spent months hyping their industry-redefining breakthrough. Media crowned him the wunderkind. Cameras followed his every move. Yet when the curtains rose, my quantum lattice projections bathed the auditorium in crystalline light. Journalists dropped their Adam Smith puff pieces mid-sentence. Investors' phones lit up with emergency buy orders. Backstage, Alex handed me a champagne flute. His smile genuine for once. Told you they'd beg. Through the curtains, I watched Adam melt down at his own Q&A session, stammering through basic topology questions. Sweating through his Armani shirt. Sophia's desperate damage control only drew more heckling. Funny. I mused. Clinking glasses with my billionaire accomplice. The vulgar money bought better lab equipment. The corrupt industry connections? Secured peer reviews he couldn't manipulate. Alex's grin turned wolfish. Shall we send a fruit basket? I hear his department chair is resigning. Below us. Adam screamed at a tech intern over malfunctioning holograms, the same intern whose tuition I'm now funding through my foundation. The cameras, so fickle, swarmed toward my glowing displays like moths to flame. Make it orchids, I decided. Rare ones. He'll know what it means. The game had changed. The rules were mine. And the best part? We were just getting started. Once-in-a-century research prodigy. America's future beacon of technological innovation. Prime contender for the next Nobel Prize. The accolades poured over him like cheap confetti. Sophia, positioned as his sole female core team member, was marketed as the gentle yet steadfast pillar of support behind the genius. They posed together for promotional shots gracing the covers of mainstream tech magazines, picture-perfect brilliance that made them the darlings of aspiring young minds. Dr. Ben and I registered for the summit too. Our names languished on the final page of the conference agenda. Buried in a footnote, Chiyuan Tech Research Focus, undisclosed. The world saw us as relics, a washed-up Dr. Taylor and his disgraced protege kicked out of elite circles. Our ragtag operation dismissed as clout-chasing amateurs. I didn't care. Day after day, I quietly refined our models in the lab, running simulations until the numbers sang. The summit hall buzzed with anticipation. Adam strode onto the main stage in his Armani suit, bathing in tsunami waves of applause and camera flashes. He presented the research stolen from my desk, slightly repackaged as his own. Nodding heads filled the audience, everyone witnessing the coronation of academia's newest golden boy. Sophia sat front row center in her pristine Chanel dress, a porcelain princess throwing triumphant smirks at my seat in the last row. I watched her dispassionately, like an archaeologist examining sacrificial remains. They never noticed the time bomb I'd planted in Adam's groundbreaking data, a cascading failure sequence that would detonate their entire system under specific conditions. The detonator pulsed in my pocket. Now please welcome Chiyuan Tech's chief scientist, Emily. The host's board announcement echoed through the half-empty hall. Lingering attendees scrolled phones or gathered coats as I took the stage. Spotlights glared as I stepped to the podium. Instead of opening my presentation, I turned toward Adam, receiving congratulations off stage. Congratulations, Adam. My smile carried through the sound system, crisp and crystalline. Every head snapped toward the confrontation. The noisy auditorium suddenly fell partially silent. Adam, surrounded by reporters and fans, arrogantly tilted his chin upward at my voice like a king accepting homage from a commoner. Thank you, Emily. What can I do for you? Your theory is brilliant, truly flawless. But I have a small, perhaps naive question I'd like to ask. My calm voice carried through the space. By all means. He maintained his magnanimous facade. In ultra-cold environments approaching absolute zero, I continued, my words dropping like stones in still water. How would your data model respond? Could it maintain stability under such conditions? The question froze Adam mid-smirk. Several actual experts in the audience stiffened. This was an impossibly niche scenario, deliberately engineered to expose flaws. Adam's mind raced furiously. He couldn't recall the answer because he'd never done the actual work. The stolen research missing this critical vulnerability I'd carefully obscured. But he couldn't show weakness. Not under the spotlight. Drawing from half-remembered data fragments. He bluffed, an interesting hypothetical. I can assure you our model would enter secure hibernation at such temperatures, preserving all data integrity. Really? My smile bloomed like a predator's. Let's test that live, shall we? Before he could react, I strode to the control terminal. Fingers flew across the keyboard. Environmental simulation, absolute zero. Enter. The massive screen erupted in chaos. Adam's gleaming model disintegrated before thousands of eyes. Data streams warping into nonsensical glyphs. Blood-red error messages flooded the display. Fatal error. System crashed. CORE data collapsed. Silence so profound you could hear sweat droplets hit the stage. Adam's complexion turned paper white, perspiration cascading down his temples. His wide eyes darted between the damning screen and me, lips trembling soundlessly. The trap had sprung perfectly. The thief had stolen a gilded box, only to find it brimming with vipers. The input was unknown. The treasure box didn't contain gold or jewels. Instead, it held a long-awakened, lethally venomous snake. I didn't spare Adam another glance. Calmly, I opened my own presentation slides. There was only one slide, a clean yet intricately complex architecture diagram. Now, allow me to present Zenith Innovation's achievement, the Singularity System. This system fundamentally bypasses and resolves the critical failure issue you witnessed earlier through an entirely different foundational logic. My voice carried unwavering confidence. Because we've chosen a completely divergent path toward the future. My technology surpassed his by an entire dimension. It was annihilation. A dimensional obliteration. The auditorium first plunged into a deathly silence for 30 endless seconds. Then, a thunderous roar erupted, applause tenfold. 100-fold more explosive than the ovation Adam had received earlier. The standing ovation raged like a tsunami, threatening to tear the roof off the convention center. This time, all spotlights burned for me. Every clap resonated for me alone. I stood at the epicenter of brilliance. A phoenix-risen queen. My gaze swept over Adam in the front row, ashen-faced, hollow-eyed, aged 2 decades in moments. I knew. He was finished. Now. Forever. Post-summit. Adam became the laughingstock of academia and the entire tech world. Yesterday's media-dubbed luminary of innovation became today's disgraced fraud, a plagiarizing thief exposed. From stratosphere to sewage, one day was all it took. Investors retracted funding overnight. The university launched an immediate investigation, suspending all his positions and classes. He came rabid to our corporate headquarters, bloodshot eyes blazing like a cornered beast, screaming at the glass doors. "Emily, face me. You viper. Why would you do this? You scheming witch." Still blaming me. Even now. He believed I was at fault. I observed coldly through the floor-to-ceiling windows before calling security. "Remove this trash. Ensure our premises stay uncontaminated." Brawny guards dragged him away like roadkill. His howls echoing. "Emily. We were husband and wife. How can you be this heartless? Husband and wife?" My laugh frosted the air. "The moment you stole my data and tried to bury me, all that remained between us was vengeance." I closed the blinds, shutting his disgraceful behavior out of my world. Adam had been cornered. Sophia faced the same fate. As the team's core member, her reputation now lay in ruins. She knew the game was over. Her carefully crafted persona of kindness and gentleness had been torn away, revealing the venomous truth beneath. Sophia began plotting darker schemes. She knew our lifeline resided in the laboratory's central server storing all critical data. Desperate, she bribed a janitor at our company to infiltrate the lab after hours with concentrated acid, aiming to destroy our servers while staging an electrical fire accident. This tactic mirrored her previous life scheme when she'd swapped stabilizers to kill me. Equally despicable, equally ruthless. She believed her plan flawless. But this time, I wasn't the naive Emily who blindly trusted her. Anticipating this rat's last-ditch effort, I'd asked Alex to install military-grade security systems with 360-degree infrared surveillance. Every movement of the compromised janitor got recorded, from picking the lab's lock to pulling out the acid bottle. Each step toward our billion-dollar server captured in crystal clarity. The trap snapped shut as he unscrewed the acid bottle. Blaring alarms erupted while fire-suppressant dry ice showered from ceilings. Within seconds, 8 armed security personnel pinned him down. Evidence incontrovertible. Holding back from immediate police involvement, I played a longer game. Through Alex's connections, I retrieved decade-old records buried in university archives, original investigation files from the lab explosion in my previous life. The yellow documents revealed the truth. Within 24 hours before that fatal accident, The only person who'd accessed compromised stabilizers during unauthorized hours wasn't me. It was Sophia. Now holding both the dusty archive files and fresh HD surveillance footage. I possessed intergenerational proof of her crimes spanning 2 lifetimes. The web tightened around its architect as she unknowingly approached its center. The anonymous package was sent to the school administration, police, and several major domestic media outlets. Old grudges and new scores, I chose to settle them all at once. Police immediately launched an investigation. The janitor caught red-handed had weak psychological defenses. He cracked under minimal interrogation, identifying Sophia as the mastermind who paid him to sabotage the equipment. With both witness testimony and physical evidence, the case was airtight. The day officers escorted Sophia from her home, a light drizzle was falling. She wore a designer nightgown and an expensive facial mask. Her hair disheveled and makeup smeared as 2 officers dragged her out. She screamed hysterically. "I'm innocent. Emily framed me. That bitch." Gone was her saintly act, she looked like a deranged lunatic. Adam faced swift expulsion for academic fraud and complicity in covering up Sophia's crimes. The Ministry of Education blacklisted him nationally, destroying any future in academia. When he came begging at my doorstep, Alex's security detail barred him from the complex like stray vermin. Photos of him kneeling in the gutter went viral, showcasing his complete humiliation. Standing at my office window with coffee in hand, I felt nothing staring at those images. No satisfaction. Just cold acknowledgement of deserved consequences. The trial concluded rapidly. Sophia received 15 years for corporate sabotage and previous assault charges. Rumor says she's losing her mind in prison. Adam became a pariah, jobless, disgraced, living in a moldy basement. He drowns himself in alcohol nightly, chasing memories of his former glory. In drunken stupors, he finally remembers fragments of our past life, empty promises to love me forever after my family's ruin. The universe has collected its debts. Reflecting on my past life, how I stood by his side when his project failed and his spirit crumbled. Encouraging him, pouring all my savings into supporting his comeback. Remembering how I sacrificed admission offers from top international universities, abandoning my own ambitions to become the woman behind his success. Regret. Overwhelming. Tidal regret consumed him. He began frantically calling and texting from different numbers. I never answered calls. Occasionally I'd glance at messages for amusement. "Emily, I was wrong. I know I messed up. I lost my way. I betrayed you. Let's start over. I can't live without you. Please. One more chance." Those pathetic words only amused me. With a tap, I blocked and deleted him. My life had already entered a brilliant new chapter. The tech startup Alex and I co-founded, Horizon Innovations, went public. Our groundbreaking technology catapulted market valuation past $100 billion overnight, a Wall Street legend. At the NASDAQ bell ceremony, before flashing cameras, the notoriously composed business titan surprised everyone. Alex knelt before me, producing a dazzling pink diamond ring, his gaze tender enough to drown in. "Ms. Emily Johnson." His voice carried faint tension. "You once said your dream was to pioneer a new era. Now I beg you, let me join that dream. Will you marry me? Let me spend my life protecting your brilliance, your ambitions, your very being." I saw starlight reserved solely for me in his eyes. Laughter escaped me. Tears of joy, the warm, unfamiliar kind earned through 2 lifetimes, tracing my cheeks. I extended my hand. "Mr. Alexander Davis." Yes. Adam saw our engagement on next morning's front page. The full-page photo of our kiss shattered him. He stormed our headquarters in pouring rain, mirroring Sophia's arrest downpour. Kneeling bareheaded in the storm, a drenched rat clinging to stone lions at our entrance. He howled toward corporate windows, "Emily. Emily Johnson. Forgive me. Come back. I'll die without you." Security tried dragging him away. Crowds gathered, snapping photos of the spectacle. Alex shielded me with his umbrella as we descended for a gala. We passed his crumpled form without glancing. He was gutter trash beneath notice. But he saw me. He struggled, trying to crawl over and clutch my leg. Tilting his head up, he stared at me with eyes so desperately that they could have crumbled to dust. Love? I finally stopped walking, looking down at him from my height. My voice cut colder than the late autumn rain. Your love meant stealing my research. Collaborating with your first love to push me into the abyss? Your love meant slandering my name after my death. Telling the world everything was my fault? Adam froze, gaping like a suffocating fish. I stared at his alcohol-bloated face, suddenly remembering. Leaning down, I whispered in his ear the truth I'd buried through 2 lifetimes. Adam, you'll never know this. When I was terminally ill in my previous life, I didn't give up. I spent countless nights compiling data, writing detailed treatment plans with 90% success rate. That notebook disappeared. My words fell like final judgment. It was you, wasn't it? To clear your conscience for eliminating me, the obstacle, so you could elope with your precious Sophia. You burned my only hope for survival. Didn't you? Adam's pupils contracted violently. All color drained from his face as he collapsed into the muddy rainwater. Every ounce of soul ripped from him. Yes, he remembered now. That notebook filled with chemical formulas he'd dismissed as meaningless scribbles. The same formulas that could have saved Emily's life. He'd killed me twice. This realization struck like hell's lightning, shattering his fragile psyche. Adam went truly mad. Committed to psychiatric care. He endlessly mumbled, I did it, burned the notes, killed her. His remaining years became eternal torment of sober regret. Years later, Professor Ben finally received the National Science Medal for our Singularity System's theoretical framework. On the golden podium, the silver-haired scientist wept before national cameras. All credit belongs to Emily, the brilliant mind we lost too soon. He said, You're the most talented and resilient scientist I've ever seen. Alex and I held our grand wedding on a small overseas island, surrounded only by our closest family and friends. Amidst the blessings of everyone present, he slipped that one-of-a-kind ring onto my finger. After marriage, our company spearheaded multiple global technological revolutions. I became one of the most brilliant female scientists of this era. I'm no longer anyone's appendage or stepping stone. I am who I am. Emily. Occasionally, letters from that mental institution arrive. Adam's scrawled handwriting on the envelopes resembles demonic scribbles. I never open them. I feed them directly into the German-made, state-of-the-art shredder in my office. I relish the soft rustling sound as those paper fragments filled with past memories get sliced into slender ribbons by sharp blades like a belated funeral dirge for my foolish, pitiable former life. Alex gently embraces me from behind, his warm chin resting atop my hair. What are you thinking about? He murmurs tenderly, leaning against his broad, comforting chest. I gaze at the cloudless azure sky beyond the window and smile. Just thinking how gloriously the sunshine shines in this lifetime. All past lives have turned to dust. Now I live radiantly for myself. And for those who truly love me.